Welcome to Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, back again with another episode for y'all, right? Now, in this episode, I'm going to be talking about change and growth and all of the things that come with that. And I hope that this is something that does somebody out there some good. I hope that you enjoy this episode. It stems from a conversation I was having the other day with a group of guys, and it really kind of threw me a little bit when I was having a conversation with them because they have a different opinion about what growth means and why they should do it and change and all of that kind of stuff, and what they expect from everybody else as you know while they're changing, what they expect everybody else to do and say and all of this kind of stuff, right? And I just had a difference of opinion, and I want to explain that to y'all in a way that I hope that is constructive and helps people to see that change and growth in the right directions or the right thing, doing the right thing, brings you more than you can even imagine when you go about it the right way, right? So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick this off and ask you a question. How many of y'all wash your hands after you use the toilet, right? How many wash your hands after you use the toilet? And why do you do that? Are you washing your hands because you're practicing good hygiene, or are you washing your hands because that's what you were taught to do as far as what society says you should do after you use the toilet? Why? Why do you do that? As for me, I wash my hands because that's what I was taught to do. It's the right thing to do, But let's go back before I even knew to do that, right? Let's go back before that. Because I can imagine, I can't really remember being potty trained by my mother, my parents, my grandparents, whomever that did it. But I'm going to use my imagination and stretch it a little bit, and hopefully, you'll understand what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to explain it. So I can imagine my mother teaching me how to, go to the toilet, right, as a child. And I can imagine after I did that she would give me a high five and tell me I did a good job and hug and kiss me and all this and that. And then she would teach me how to wash my hands. And again, after I did that, she would give me a high five and tell me that I did a good job and all this and that, right? And all of the positive reinforcement that would come from that, right? With the hugs and the kisses. And she did all of that because I know that she loved me. But she also did that to reinforce that behavior so that I would understand as a child that this is the right thing to do, right? This is the right thing to do. She would hug me, kiss me, tell me everything. You're doing good, baby. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And that would register in my mind. When I did the right thing, I got positive reinforcement. When I did the wrong thing, negative reinforcement. Tap on the hand, right? Now, which I don't buy into that these days when it comes to corporal punishment, but that's another conversation that we'll have another day. Now, as an adult, we learn to do things in a similar fashion. And like I said earlier, I was talking to a group of guys about growth and change, and they got upset because they have an expectation of acknowledgement when it comes to them doing the right thing, right? And as we continued to talk, I meditated on a way to explain to them why change, true change isn't about being patted on the back. And the right behavior, how the right behavior builds character. And it nurtures the behaviors like honesty, those values like honesty, integrity, and things like that, right? Which all in turn produce a sense of freedom that can't be given or taken away from you, ever. You feel what I'm saying? Doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do brings you peace. And it's more than a physical thing. It's like a peace and freedom. That's what you feel when you do the right thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's more than a physical freedom. And don't get me wrong, I want my physical freedom. I want to go home, right? But and I almost crave it, like it's something that I can taste. But my change and growth isn't attached to my physical freedom. And that's the part where this conversation that I was having with a few of the guys got a little tricky. Because they have an expectation that if you're doing the right things, saying the right things, walking the walk, right? talking the talk, that you should get something from that, right? Now, again, I'm not against getting something for that, but I don't think that you should be doing the right thing just because it's attached to your freedom, or just because it's attached to the relationship that you might be in out there, right? You should be doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Like me, in here, I'm going to do the right thing, not because the rules necessarily say I have to, not because I'm afraid of the officers, not because I'm afraid of the punishment. I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do by the rules and regulations and how they want to run things, right? But let's look at that from a relationship standpoint. Let's say you're in a relationship with a beautiful woman, or if you're in a relationship with a beautiful man, right? Or a handsome man. You're going to do right by them, not because society says you should or your vows say you should. Those are roadmaps to, how you can act and all of these things. But you're going to do the right thing by them because it's the right thing to do. You want them to know that you value and love them. That character that you've built by doing the right thing will give you that sense of peace, that sense of freedom, knowing that you're treating another human being in a way that they deserve to be treated, how you want to be treated. And you're not looking for a reward for that other than that satisfaction of knowing that you've done the right thing. See, a lot of people, particularly in here, because I've been in here for a long time, and so I mostly associate and relate to what's going on in here. A lot of people in here emulate change. They make it look like they've changed because acting a certain way in here will get you certain benefits, right? And what do I mean by benefits? If you act nice in here, they might let you order some food, some chicken. That's an incentive, right? But if they don't let you order the chicken, do you not behave? Do you not follow the rules anyway? Right? Most people get mad when they say, well, they're going to take incentives from us. I might as well do what I want to do. That lets me know that true change hasn't taken root in that individual. Because if true change has taken root in that individual, it wouldn't be about the incentive that they offer. I understand why they offer the incentive. It's trying to nudge you in the right direction. Look, if you do this, you get rewards. You feel what I'm saying? But if you don't get a reward, that shouldn't discourage you from doing the right thing. Because that, by doing the right thing, you're going to have way more than they could ever give or take away from you in the physical sense. It brings you a sense of, like I said, for me, a sense of peace, joy, and freedom. Freedom that I can't even describe in the sense that it's not physical freedom. It's a mental freedom. It's like my mind can go anywhere because I'm at peace. But when I'm not at peace, my mind can't travel. I can't imagine all the places that I want to go, the things that I want to do, the episodes that I want to talk about, you know what I mean? The topics. My mind, when I'm not at peace, I can't see those things clearly. And partly the peace that I have from the change that I've experienced and continue to experience on a daily basis is partly the reason that I feel this sense of peace and this sense of freedom. I know that for sure because when I'm upset or allow myself to get upset by something and be thrown off my square, when I allow those things to happen to me, my creative process is disrupted. My mood is off. People can tell. When someone says something to me that kind of throws me off, right? And I allow myself to be, like I say, upset by it, I receive that offense, everything is thrown off. My balance is thrown off. But when I do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do, not expecting anything for it, it's like an even keel for me. And as I was trying to explain that to a couple of the guys that I was talking to, they heard everything that I said. I don't think they received it because they believe that if you do something, if you do the right thing, you should be given something for it. And I told them, you do get something for it. You get something that another person can't necessarily give you because it comes from the inside. And they looked at me, of course, like I'm crazy. But I'm not crazy, I assure you that. I'm not tripping. It's a feeling that you can't get any other way that I know of. That peace. When you do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do, it is, I'm talking about, look, pure joy. Because you know you did the right thing. But when you do the wrong thing, you can feel that agitation in your body. Tensed up, heart racing, stomach hurting. All of these types of things are going on. But don't get me wrong, I do understand that desire, that longing for the physical freedom. I do understand that desire for somebody to say, you know, you're doing good, man. Keep it up. I do get that. And I think that it's needed, but not necessary. Do I want people to acknowledge that I'm doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do? Yes. But I don't think it's necessary for me to get that. I'm not going to change my behavior because I don't get that. I'm not going to be upset because they don't see that or acknowledge it. I'm just going to go about my day because I know that I'm doing the right thing. I know it in every part of my body. I know it. Every part of me is clicking at the same time, telling me, oh, you're doing good, you're doing good. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. My yin yang is in balance. And it helps me in all aspects of my life. That balance. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people probably looking at it like, as long as you've been in there, you know what I'm saying? I know you want that. I do. I do. But that part of me that wants to make sure that I'm held accountable for what I've done, that part of me that wants to make sure that I'm being a responsible citizen even under these circumstances, it kind of outweighs that. Don't get me wrong. If they came here and told me that I can go home tomorrow, I would be elated. But my behavior and my desire to do the right thing is not going to change because I don't get that right now. And if people, particularly people that try to use behavior as a weapon, I'm going to say, playing on people's emotions, moving them in ways that is harmful to them but beneficial to you, knowing you're not doing the right thing, by weaponizing, emotions and treating a relationship like it's something that you should dominate as opposed to experience, you're not bringing yourself any peace. You're going to stay in a state of agitation, and you're not going to be happy. You're going to think you're going to tell yourself that what you're doing is good, but it's only good for you. What about the person that you're involved with? If you do right by them, even if it causes you to lose them, then would you do it? If you do right by people, even if it causes you to have to take a step back, would you do it? And I would. I just want to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Because what I gain from that now, I can't measure it. I can't measure it. And sometimes it's hard for me to even explain. And I'm doing the best I can now. I believe that much that change from a negative spirit to a positive spirit is the most rewarding thing that could happen to a person. And sometimes in that change, things are going to happen that appear to not be in your favor, but they are in your favor. Because things have to realign. See, we've been operating from a negative point of view, and thinking that things are in line, but they're not. It's like going down a zigzag road. Nothing is straight. It's all zigzag, right? That's how we've been operating and functioning, right? So when we start operating from a positive spirit, that zigzag line gets straight. It starts to get straight, right? But as it's straightening out, a whole lot of things have to happen. A whole lot of people that we've hurt have to be apologized to. And that can be embarrassing, that can be humbling, but you can do it anyway. As we're straightening that line out, a whole lot of things have to be spoken on. A whole lot of things that might embarrass you or make you feel ashamed have to be dealt with and faced. And a lot of times people would rather continue to go through the pain and the negative aspects of life as opposed to facing those things so they can live in a positive spirit. I just don't agree with that anymore. I just don't want to live like that anymore. It doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have my bad days, because I do. But it really helps me to focus on, being a good person. Not because people will acknowledge it or give me some reward for it, but because it's the right thing to do and it makes me feel good. Right? Gives me peace. Gives me freedom. Mental freedom. Spiritual freedom. I'm telling you. And everything else is working behind that. And my creativity is off the charts when I'm like that. My admiration for another human being is off the charts when I'm like that. And I want to stay in that space. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. And I hope that something out of this episode helps you. I hope that those on the inside and the outside that do listen to this show really think about what I'm saying. And if I'm confusing you any kind of way or not being clear on something, hit me up. Leave a comment in my comment section on YouTube or hit me up in my email at doingtimewithjoet@gmail.com. That's DOIN, timewithjoet@gmail.com. And I'll make sure that the questions get answered and get back at you. I appreciate all of you for listening. Share this episode with your friends. Post it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and let them know that you got somebody in prison that has changed, because it's possible and true. All right? Appreciate y'all out there. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.